Hello, and welcome to One Question Interview. Today we have Peyton Griffin, the leader of the Peyton Griffin Trio, a jazz trio. They play at Berklee. It's raw jazz. There's no gimmick. The songs are not modernized. It's pure jazz in its purest form. That's what this guy's all about. Now, Peyton, music technology has changed throughout time. Lots of things come and go. Lots of trends come and go as well in terms of music and stuff. Where would you like to see jazz as a whole in the future? What is your goal with, or just in, what's like where do you want the music to go?
Speaking relatively, is like jazz as a whole, not just as myself, but as jazz as a whole? Okay. This is an interesting question because it's one that kind of rides on some of my opinions of like what I like to do. But if I were to speak as a whole first, I think that jazz honestly can go anywhere because jazz is one of those genres that can adapt very well. I mean, jazz has been, has spawned multiple different genres. It is influenced by many genres too. So I don't think there's necessarily a way to know where jazz will be in the next 10 years. But, with everything that's happening now, there's a lot of modern jazz stuff that I actually really do enjoy. There's a few modern players like Joey Alexander who does kind of more contemporary jazz stuff, which is like more like a fusion of like swing and Latin together and more just based on like modes or jamming on like two chords. I like that type of jazz a lot, and I think that in itself is a really cool way to go with jazz. There's also Robert Glasper, which is like mixing hip hop and jazz, and I think that's extremely awesome. But in general, I think jazz as a whole, I don't really know if I know a direction it wants to go, but I'm excited to see where it does go. Because there's always something new that comes up. I mean, jazz is always evolving. I mean, since day one, it's been evolving from Dixieland to swing bands, and then the birth of bebop, and then the birth of like these fusions, kind of like Latin fusion incorporated into jazz, and then like there's so many different branches of jazz that exist that I can't really say where it's gonna be, but I'm very excited to see it because those will influence me. Now, in terms of my own band, I've always had the philosophy of just really loving good melodies. So, a lot of people can say that my style is quite old-fashioned, which is playing these Tin Pan Alley tunes. But truth be told, it doesn't matter exactly what time period I play my music. If there's a song that strikes me as something that's really gorgeous and speaks to me, I'll personally want to play that. I'm trying to experiment with a lot of modern songs. I've been trying to incorporate some Adele music into the trio, some Billie Eilish music, and then everyone knows La La Land. I love La La Land. I think that those are contemporary standards. I think that one day those will really pop out somewhere. Studio Ghibli as well. We're working on tunes from Studio Ghibli songs, so like in terms of me, the only thing I would say for me is that whatever jazz leads to in the next decade will probably influence me in some way, but I still want to stick to my morals, which is just playing something more melodic bass, something that everyone knows the melody to. That goes also for my originals too. I want to write something that is not hard to understand because, that can get into the avant-garde jazz stuff, and while I really respect it, I want my music to be something that people can understand and people can like enjoy the melodies of it. They can sing it on the street. It's one thing to create a really crazy melody, but if you can't sing it on the street, then is it really that memorable? So I just, that's the direction I want to go with my trio. But as going back to just kind of the idea of jazz as a whole, who knows where it's going to go? Because, there's so many things that change every single day in music. So I think that there's really no way of knowing, but in some way there's going to be a new subgenre of jazz that's going to be influenced by something that's happening, and I'm excited to see when it happens. I think it's going to be really cool.
Once again, Peyton Griffin.